Rowland.
Present.
Councilmember Jonathan Randall.
Here.
Councilmember Marie Herndon. Here. Councilmember Herbert Thomas.
Present.
Councilmember Paulette Barnett. Here.
We have a quorum. Can I have an invocation? Commissioner, you want to go ahead?
Sure, I'll be honest, man. For those of you who feel like standing, please, I don't think it makes a difference to God, but apparently sometimes it does to us. Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, at this time we come to you thanking you for your many blessings. We thank you for the things that you've done for us. We thank you for those things that you're going to do. Father, we ask that during this meeting tonight that we know that we're not going to agree on everything, but let us learn to disagree in the manner in which you would have us to do it. This prayer and many we pray in your most holy and righteous sweet name. Bless our governing body, bless our city, and bless our citizens. We thank you, Lord. Amen. Amen.
Next have a swearing in ceremony for Councilmembers Herndon and Randall. Stand down. Got all official photography. We start with Councilmember Marie Herndon. Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Marie Herndon,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office
of the office
of Councilmember Position 3
of Councilmember Position 3
of the State of Texas
of the State of Texas
and will,
and will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and laws
and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. See, Ms. Smith, you got an official pen?
Here's an official.
Mr. Randall, Councilmember Randall, you raise your right hand and say, repeat your name. I
Jonathan Randall,
do solemnly swear or affirm
you solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office
of the office
of Councilmember Position 2
of Councilman Position 2
of the State of Texas
of the State of Texas
and will,
and will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and laws
and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Here's the official key.
Next item of the agenda is citizens' comments. I have the descendant on Mr. John Mosley.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Councilor, and the citizens of Prairie. Thank you for this opportunity to speak this evening. and I'm thankful that I live in a country where my voice can be heard. I want to congratulate, first of all, the two incumbents who won their bid for re-election, and to the newly elected City Council member of Position 1, Johnny Miller. I also want to thank the citizens of Prairie for letting their voice be heard, sending a clear message that a new day in this city has begun and the reckless leadership has come to an end. I want to bring your attention also to today's agenda items, and several things come to mind. The first one is item number 10. Discuss adopting ordinance relating to the policy of public information request. Well, the state of Texas already has a policy for public information requests. And what the city is trying to do is make it harder for us to get information relating to some of the city business. We're probably going to want to try to charge a fee for something that they shouldn't charge a fee for. So I implore the city council to vote that item down. I also want to approve the ratification of accounts payable. My question is to the counselor, to the lawyer. Accounts payable, is this for bills that were paid last month, or this for bills coming up for this month?
I don't know, somebody's here.
Bills already paid.
So bills already paid. So a lot of these things we're paying for without the approval of the city council. And one of those things is the money that we just are fleecing out to Olson and Olson. And I would implore the city council to also to be more vigilant and to hold whoever accountable for putting things on the agenda to get things paid for that hadn't been discussed with the city council. And the thing is, where's the transparency and what is the city trying to hide? The other thing is agenda number 13, I believe it was, where they want the city council to appoint Frank Jackson as a point person to discuss all matters pertaining to the city council's economic development. Well, we have a person for that, and I believe it's City Councilman Herb Thomas. So why do we need two people to discuss economic development, and why do we need to appoint him as the point person for that when we have Herb Thomas here to do that already? On April the 14th, David Allen held a candidates forum to discuss home rule. And on April the 21st, another citizen tried to have the same thing here, but was denied access for hosting the candidates forum because the lawyer cited that you can't discuss ballot items in the city hall. But on April the 14th, apparently, the legislation must have passed a law between the 14th and the 21st to not allow them to have that candidates forum in this building. I couldn't find any rule, any law or ordinance that corroborates that statement of that attorney. And lastly, I just want to say that I don't come here every month to complain, like Frank Jackson's going to say I'm here complaining. And I want to ask you, during the Civil Rights Movement, were we complaining about the rights that we needed? Was that complaining? We're not complaining. All we're trying to do is make a wrong right. And we don't have good leadership in this city, and we need to get good leadership. The first thing that we did, the citizens did, was outvote Brian Rowland. Excellent job. Thank you very much. And now the city can move forward. And I implore, there's another election coming a year from now. Herb Thomas, Frank Jackson, beware, because you are next. Thank you. Wow.
Citizens' comments, Elijah, you have 3 minutes, or you keep it up.
You too. You're next. You're not going to stay out my face. Sure.
Well, let me say this, one of the things you have to observe is decorum. Slanderous remarks or remarks against folks or public officials, we just like to keep that down. You can say what you need to say, but let's just be mindful that you don't get over the line with that. So we sit here and listen and take all the blows that you throw, but let's keep in mind that there's a decorum that we have to observe and a professionalism. So everybody's entitled to their opinion. Next on citizens' comments, we have 3 minutes. Ron Levitt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The comments that I want to make, I think you all are already aware of. So I want to talk to the citizens.
You have to address it to the council.
Well, I'll address the council and I'll let the citizen. The one thing the couple things that, first of all, I think that most of the items that I was about to discuss have already, some of the things that are already discussed. But one of the things that I am very concerned about is the amount of money that we are paying for legal fees. I don't know how many of us are aware of how much money we are paying for legal fees. And I think in the last meeting that I attended, I heard the council say that the council has the authority to meet, to talk to any council member at will. I think he also said that any council member could call or engage in a discussion or what have you as related to the city. But I guess the question is, if you have a budget, where does it end? I mean, you know, you're talking about 11,000, 13,000. I mean, where does it stop? Where does the legal fee start? What happens when you run out of money? Where do we go from there? And what is the purpose of Texas Municipal League in terms of advising the city on certain issues that, in my opinion, that don't really require legal assistance? Some of the, and I can understand from a legal standpoint, from a legal company. Surely, if I was a legal counselor, each time you called, I would answer because the clock starts. So I would advise the council to be more vigilant with utilizing the time of the legal services when a lot of the time that is used can be used, per time that is needed, you can receive that same service from the Texas Municipal League. Another one was mentioned 4B. And I thought we had a little bit more faith in Councilman Herb Thomas in terms of 4B and taking the leadership. And I think that if he is the chairman of 4B, I think that you mentioned that you are involved in quite a bit. I think that the city business, especially city council members who have been
30 seconds.
elected to serve on certain committees, gives them an opportunity to at least get the information and then come back to the council to discuss it. I also heard you mention the duties of the council as a whole. Some of the things that we've seen is the council had no knowledge of some of the things that we are doing. And I'm wondering when, and also referring to the bid.
Thank you, Mr. Levy.
Okay, for people for more attention.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the speaker be given more time.
We move to second and give the speaker more time. Give the motion second and ready for the question. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Council. Item 13 has to do with, I'm sorry, not item 13, it has to do with the bid about a company coming in to drain some ditches. And I think that if a company is coming in, has the council been notified, or have you all had a discussion on a company? Did you just ad hoc select a company? Did the council select that? Did the council select the company? Or are we just bringing somebody in? I mean, are we going to get the benefit of the services of a quality company, or was that discussed in the workshop? I mean, what is happening? Have we coordinated anything with the county or with the state in terms of the drainage? Are we just doing something on our own? We're talking something that's devastating. I mean, I had a chance to drive through today and look at some of the water, and it is a problem. But I don't think digging ditches are going to solve that problem. I think that in the time that we're going to spend money, I think that would be good that we look into some other companies other than just one company. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Barnett.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, council members.
Good evening.
Good evening, citizens and friends, Prairie View visitors. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be here, and it's even more a blessing to be 6 foot up instead of 6 foot under. This evening, I'm here to let you know that we have gone into our bid phase as far as our community center is concerned. every entity that wants to be involved, construction entity that wants to be involved in this community center, their bid must be in by Thursday of next week, by 2:00 p.m. We have a timeline. Next month, we will be voting on the bid. We want to start pushing dirt by July, and we're hoping to have everything up, done, and running and finished by early December. I do have drawings, and pictures of the design as it stands right now. The community center is going to be double the size where it was before. I think we were right at 2,400 square feet. Now we're going to 4,800 square feet. We will still have our kitchen areas. We will still have, as a matter of fact, you'll be able to divide the community center to where you can have 2 different meetings going on at one time. Our restrooms will definitely be ADA and a lot more comfortable. So we're moving. We're moving. It's been a process. I will be honest with you. Because sometimes what you want to get done versus what needs to be done, they just don't match. You know, and then we had people come in and with low bids that were too low, that just make the hair on your back stand up, because you know that there may be a problem with that later on. So we are moving forward. We are moving forward. And I'd like to invite each and every last one of you to Commissioner's Court every Wednesday at 9 o'clock, so you can really find out what's going on, not only in the city of Prairie View, but in Waller County as a whole. If we want to be a part, we got to be a part. And sometimes the only way to be a part is to be there and hear it for yourself. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Is that going to be the same design that was adopted earlier in Commissioner's Court?
Yes, ma'am. It's the same design. It surely is.
It's gonna be the same location?
Same location. Same location. Yes, it will be.
We've got a whole lot of questions back.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Rodney Green?
Council, residents, good afternoon. I'm here concerned about a few statements that allegedly been made by certain city officials. I want to clarify a few issues. One, Marie Herndon is my mother, but she is no way, shape, size, or fashion financially, has no financial interest in Creekside Apartments at all. She is my manager. I use her as such because I'm 90% female. She's a retired principal or a retired counselor, and she's a realtor. So, but she spends most of her time counseling the students. So she's there for a reason. Also, allegedly, Creekside has been a big source of the legal funds. I did file a lawsuit against regarding my water bill, but I have the letters to show that I issued several letters. I made several calls, and all of them were unresponsive. What was I supposed to do? At some point, I didn't have my attorney write a letter. None of those were asked. If the council needs to see the letters that I initially engaged, I'll be happy to give you a copy of it. Okay? Well, we wouldn't have to be there. All we asked at that time was, let's sit down and talk about it. Let's sit down and do an audit. I had an independent auditor that raised some serious questions about our water bills. And I hope you all look at your water bills wisely, because you don't have the same problems I have. Now, we have a shut-off. They've given us a shut-off for the 29th. Now, we're in litigation. Now, I'm hoping to keep from spending more money, going down and getting a TRO. I'm asking the council, again, sit down. If we owe a bill, we have no problem with paying it, but if we're being overcharged for something, I have a problem with that. You should have a problem with that. So again, I'm asking one last time, before we spend more money, of the taxpayers' money, is to sit down and let's work this out. If that's not possible, then I'm gonna have to do what I gotta do. Okay? Give an example. February's water bill, $315 water, $435 sewage, total of $769. 2 months later, April's bill, $702 for the same building, and $1,245.90 for sewage. Now, every person I've talked to in the water industry has made it clear that they don't understand how you're pushing out more than you're bringing in. So again, I then found it interesting that Mr. Alexander said that we are processing 500 to 700,000 gallons of rainwater. Now, with all this rain this past week, y'all gonna be in court too when you get your water bill. Okay? So one last thing too I want to address is the fire department. I know a few of you all have been asking me. I'm asking for more time.
Mayor, I move that we give this speaker more time.
Move properly, we'll give Mr. Gray more time. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Regarding my participation in the fire department, I was a 20-year member. For the last 7 years, I was 24-hour on call. I resigned because, not of a water bill, because of lack of trust in my leadership, which was the mayor/fire chief. All right, I have a problem with it. I can't work with somebody I can't trust. Give you an example. He approached me when I resigned and asked me not to poison the other firefighters. But yet then I look at a video that's put in front of me and said, and he's degrading me about what my qualifications were or were not, as well as the other two guys. Well, let me give you some information. I did present my qualifications. I wouldn't do anything I was qualified to. As well as the other guys, Robert Barron, who was a TEACS instructor. He's a Texas A&M Fire Academy instructor. He was coming down here giving us certifications from the state on his own time, on his own gas, once a month. We weren't expecting him to come down every fire. He made a few calls, but that's because he was in the area. But his job was to sit there and train us and give us the necessary certification. George Bennett was described as a rank-and-file firefighter. George Bennett spent more volunteer hours researching every truck we have in that station. Either myself, George, or Robert Barron designed. Nobody else did. Every truck in there, we spec'd out. As far as the financial status of that department, I brought in $59,000 from that Wireland fire, and that's going down there, sitting with FEMA, and getting reimbursed for our time and our effort. We netted the most out of the whole county. The average net closest to us was $10,000. Right now, the station has that money to do whatever they want with it. Okay, so let me give you a quick update on us since we moved on. George Bennett now is a paid instructor for Texas A&M Fire Academy. Robert Barron is now a coordinator, just got a promotion for the Fire Academy. I myself just passed all the physical and the psychological exam for the Police Academy. I'm going in as a fire marshal, arson investigator. Once I'm completed with that course and with that training, I will be the only one in the county that's active. I appreciate your help. I appreciate you guys. I'm giving you guys another chance to come at me right, and let's sit down and talk about this bill and try to resolve it. If not, we're going to have to spend more money. Anybody want to see the letters? Anybody like to see a copy of the letters that I submitted prior to filing my lawsuit?
Call them back.
I need to know something, I need to know something by tomorrow, the end of business day, before I need to file any more legal action regarding this shut for Friday. Thank you.
My legal advice to counsel is if it's litigation, use the judicial process.
This was before there was litigation.
Right.
Extra one right here? Because it should be. Oh, yeah, those should be copies.
Good? You good? All right. Greetings, everyone. First, I want to congratulate our two councilpersons for re-election, Councilman Lee Herndon, Councilman John Dorado. Congratulations. I just have a couple of things I want to bring up. One is the open records request. I saw that on the agenda this month, okay? I learned from the last few meetings that the law firm bill has been very high, okay? I want to address that. I have asked for copies of agendas and minutes for several things for several reasons, okay? The city should not have to engage the service of Olsen Olsen Law Firm to get copies of these agendas and minutes. That costs the taxpayers money, the citizens money, okay? This is just a waste of money, and it should run the bill up high for no reason, okay? The city personnel should have the ability to provide access to these documents without calling up or noticing. It should not be a requirement to go to the State Attorney General office to get these documents. I did finally get permission, okay, for it, okay? But it should not have to cost the city any money to do this. The city charges for these copies. So, you know, when I see bills are high, I think we need to be careful and we need to be really selective on how we utilize our attorneys. Because that, I know that is unnecessary cost. These copies right here, and we should be able to get them right here. So most of these you can get them off the website. I just want to address that, okay? Second thing I want to bring up is cleaning of the ditches in Ruby Street. I'm speaking on behalf of my aunt, Mary Moore right here. And some of you and my cousin, some of you may know her, okay? So my aunt's been living on Ruby Street over there for years, okay? She suffered over there as well as many others that live over there behind this flood and raining and all this stuff that's happening over there for years, okay? If you notice item number 11, it says, discuss and take action on clean city the drains, etc., and award a contract to RT Construction. I tried to look up who RT Construction. I tried to Google it, try to get some information before I came up here, try to get a benefit down. I don't know who this company is, and maybe the city does, and they have more information about it. But even with that, my concern is, has due diligence been done in selecting this contractor? Why? Because this work go out for bids. I didn't see anything about bidding on the last month.
30 seconds.
Okay? Okay, good.
Mr. Mayor, I move the citizen give more time.
Second.
Thank you.
Probably something to give it more time. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Thank you.
Opposed?
Okay? Are these folks gonna use machine or shovels? Because believe it or not, some people over there said last time they cleaned up dishes, some folks were just using shovels. And if they're gonna use machines, or they're gonna scrape, how far are they gonna go down? Has anybody done the engineering or work design to find out where the water's gonna flow to, so they don't clean out this side, this person over there? I mean, has anybody looked at retention ponds over there? We know that area is, I think I've heard it's been part of the floodplain. I've heard that it's low lying. But we know, since we know all this and been knowing it for years, we need to really think about addressing and keeping those dishes clean. You know, we can at least keep the dishes clean. I was over there today. I spoke with Mrs. Henderson. And bless her heart, she had, and I saw Daryl there, I know him. She had a contractor out there and her family. They were actually talking to a contractor to figure out, because she said water came to the house last night. So she was actually trying to figure out if they had to come to get a green contractor in there to try to clean up dishes. I told her, you know, please come to the meeting tonight because the mayor's put on the agenda to try to, you know, discuss this. She said she had so little faith, so little faith. She said, I came up here before, and I had so little faith in the city doing anything about this because they won't do anything, and that really hurt because, you know, I see that the city is trying. We got new folks here. We're trying to clean it up. We're trying to get things going. And so I say this so much about this bidding purpose, and I say it from all of them. Please, please make sure we do our due diligence, and do not get this contract in here without getting any bids for other folks. And let's do it right, okay? And let's make sure it's done right, and take care of these people over there. They pay taxes, they pay high taxes like everybody else. Let's take care of them. That's all I gotta say. I love my aunt. Let's do it, okay? Okay. Now I know I said two things, but I got one more. Okay. Last month you said that the city was going to develop a policy for building use here, because I think Dwayne Charlton came here and said that the building use here. I didn't see that on the agenda. Okay, so what I want to say, can we get that on the agenda for next month? Okay, the building use, let's come up with some kind of policy so no more we have to worry about can we use the building without being a problem. We don't need to come up here and talk about that little stuff. Let's just take care of it, okay? I appreciate it very much. I'm trying not to talk too fast, but thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Item number 6, approval of ratification of account
Mr. Mayor, if you want to get along with the information, I have requested that the legal fees be itemized so we'll know what we're approving, and I've asked that the credit card charges be itemized so we know what we're approving. If we're going to be approving these accounts payable, we need to be aware of what we are losing.
We have,
What's that?
In the box.
yeah, the chair put me in our box. We have those items. Do you want to get those now? Well, those items are in the box.
What vehicles are we putting used tires on? Receipt tire shop.
The old black, brown brick used for the public works.
Those public roads.
So do those tires have warranties and road hazard, or, so that means in a couple of days, you end up buying a tire, right, it's good tires in the vehicle, it's gonna be used for, city purposes.
Yeah, I mean, those are good tires, but, you know, you look at the consideration, he was just trying to save money. That's a new tire, he just found it at a used tire shop, it's a utility.
Okay, my next question is, what park are we providing security to?
That's, the city park, the hospital, Telstar Park, by the fire station.
So okay, so what are we securing on there? No, you cut the grass, so, I mean, why do we need security? I'm not understanding that. What, I mean, do they sit there, or do they drive by, or what's going on?
There's a security, we have a security
Oh,
system.
the system.
Yeah, we have a security system.
Can you
That's
speak up a little bit? I
The
can't hear you.
cameras?
Yeah, she's asking a question about the security system at the park. I told her what we have is a security, system at the park with cameras. And, we are paying it to a Stanley Security, company. It's a monthly fee, for the security system over at the park.
But that's the
So-
system,
That's not mine.
That's the system.
So, we need cameras up there for what purpose? I mean, have there something going on over there that they need cameras, or what? What do we need cameras?
We've had incidents over there this week. We've had, incidents that caused us to have to do it. People broke into, the restrooms, were misusing the restrooms, so we put a system up there. And they were damaging the equipment, cutting on the equipment, breaking in the housing that housed a lot of part of the equipment. And we were having to get those repaired, so we decided to put a camera system over there to try to protect the city.
but we want the citizens to understand that no one's monitoring the camera. That's just paying for the system.
Now, 4B, did that contract, what did y'all? Yeah, we're paying for the system, we're getting the monitoring part taken care of. We have just, contacted with AT&T, and they're getting ready to put the IP address out there so we can have it where, you'll be able to monitor it from the, closed circuit television or on your webpage. So it was in phases that you were doing it? Yes. Any other questions?
Oh, one other question. On this water deposit refund, is there any legal reason we can't withhold that? Can we know what's going on with this individual?
What does this relate to again?
Michael Solomon water deposit refund?
Oh, is there a refund in here? I mean, I don't know what the code of order just provides in terms of issuing refunds. If it's
I just didn't know.
Yeah,
Maybe if they owe, I didn't know.
It's usually
Yeah.
addressed in how you regulate those utilities.
Yeah, that's probably for some money problem. So,
Full clarification on that.
We can look into it if you'd like.
we leave it to you. It's a legal fee. You say it's a legal fee, ching ching.
But you got the vote on it, change it.
Councilman Wu.
I move that we approve the ratification of accounts payable for May 26th.
Second the motion. We need to talk something to ratify accounts payable for May 26, 2015. Motion second, are you ready for the question? Question, all in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Opposed. And let me say this, in response to, council payable, those items are budget, items, and the city is authorized to make those expenditures on those items. In accordance with the budget, that's why they pop up for all those unnecessary items like repairs, maintenance. That's what those bills are. They don't have to come back to the council every meeting before we make an expenditure. It's already in the budget. That's the process.
Yeah, but when you pay the attorney,
That's
outside
what
of
our Mr.
see you next month.
But I'm just letting you know what it's for. The comment was made that it seemed like it's after the fact, but if council want to approve everything before we spend it, well, you can do that. But that slows everything down before you even can buy paper, pencil, anything. So, they put the items in the budget. And Mr. Levins, you know this. We put those items in the budget, and then we spend those items. That's what we've been doing for years. So we just hadn't started. All right, item number 7, minutes for April 28, 2015. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Thomas.
I move that we approve the minutes from the April 28, 2015 meetings with any necessary corrections.
Second.
You have a motion and second, I'm ready for the question.
Question.
State your name.
One correction is under approval of ratification of accounts payable. It said I approve that, that should be opposed on there. Said yes, yes, yes. So please make that correction.
You have to miss that exam.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other correction? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 8, approval of the minutes from the May 19, 2015 notice of meetings of the canvas of the voters. What's your pleasure?
I have a question. Now, on May the 30th, we're supposed to be having a special meeting to put Mr. Miller in office. Now, in the event that everybody doesn't show up like they said they are, can we go ahead and put a backup date down so that,
Sure. Whatever you want to do. Back up there.
2 days in the event that somebody can't make it for whatever reason? Do we have to have a super quorum? Although everybody agreed to be here, but for some reason somebody might not be able to show up.
We're in approval of the minutes.
Can I just ask a question? Is that for canvassing the votes?
Yes.
We only need 2 people for canvassing.
No, he
The
said-
canvassing is over.
This is different, Attorney.
Okay.
And we're on approval of the minutes. So that item can be discussed individually. I'll call for a motion on that at this time. It's not on the agenda. So this is only dealing with the minutes, not items in the minutes, unless you want to correct the wording or something like that. But this is not for, to make a new motion on something.
No.
It has to be on the agenda. Councilman Rowland.
I move that we approve the minutes of May 19th notice of meeting to canvass the votes.
Move the proper second and approve the minutes for May 19, 2015 notice of meeting with canvass and other votes. Ready to motion and second, are you ready for the question? Question. All in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 9, order to discuss adopting an ordinance on taxation of telecommunications. This is Mr. Rowland, this your agenda.
Mr. Mayor, Council, this is an item that I've talked about previously in the council meeting, when I gave that presentation after the conference from TML. All this is a sample that's come back from our legal, and also from Ms. Alexander, who helped draft this, after I gave them some drafts. All this is simply to say that if there's any telecommunications company in our area, if you have a cell phone, the money currently already goes to the state. All this ordinance does to say if your prefix is in Prairie View and there's money collected, that the comptroller will send us money. So this is a revenue generating, income generating ordinance. That's what it is. So currently all we're doing is always send this in to the comptroller's office and say that if we get any money to Prairie View, that they'll send it to the city.
So we talking about landlines and cell phones?
This is any telecommunication. So right now, on your cell phone bill, after you pay, you'll have your fees and whatever your rate is on the bottom. You'll see a state tax, you'll see a city tax, you'll see other taxes. Right now, those taxes go to the Secretary of State's office. This will say that if there's a tax, that tax will come to the city of Prairie View. The attorneys from TML said all we have to do is submit this, and we'll get that tax to the city of Prairie View.
I had some concern about C. The rate of tax imposed by this section is the same as the rate imposed by the city. All of the local sales and use taxes is authorized by the state. Was that imposed on it?
We already have a sales tax rate on the bill on top of the sales tax rate.
Yeah, this is outside of this.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with sales tax.
Has nothing to do with that.
So I'm just reading.
Yeah, right.
I need a clarification.
Okay.
And it would fall under kind of your, something similar example would be something like a franchise tax. But this is specific to telecommunications. If we pass this ordinance, we'll send it up to the comptroller's office. For that money that the state gets, if there's any city money attached to, say, on your cell phone bill, you'll see a Prairie View sales tax on there. They'll send us the money.
And does that increase the cost to the customer?
No, it does not. There's no increased cost to the customer. Right now, this money just goes to the state. All we're doing is saying to the state, we want our money, the city of Prairie. Again, I didn't draft this. There's two attorneys, TML attorney, our attorney also looked at it, and city secretary.
Our attorney looked at this.
Yes. But it came from TML's attorney for free. Same conference you was at.
All right. Any more discussion?
We discussed, we move on.
What's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor?
You know what? This is not an action item. This is not an action item. We move on to the next one.
So is there any action further action to look at adopting this for the city? That's what it said. It said discuss or adopt it.
And we discussed it. It didn't say anything. I take action.
It is not on the agenda, you're right, for action today. If you want to have a consensus to put it on as a future item, that's for y'all to consider.
Any other discussion? Item number 11, discuss and take action on clean the ditches. Discuss adopting an ordinance relating to policy on public information requests.
Mr. Mayor, Council, this public information request document, again, same thing, went to a conference on behalf of the citizens of Prairie View and came back with actually something to help improve our community. This was something that I got from TML, Texas Municipal League, the free attorneys that they was talking about. This is an ordinance that was supposed to help streamline or help us with our policy. Because of the way our city's set up, if we weren't adding any additional cost to the state. Right now, there's a state mechanism that says how much a person is charged if they do a public records request or open records request. If you get over 5 copies or however many the copies were, there's a charge. We're not implementing anything new. Only thing I was trying to do is to make sure that we had, it was enacted an ordinance that established that policy. Right now, if you came in and you said you wanted documents from 1980, we have 3 staff people in there and we have the inner workings of everyday business going on. You want them to research that document from 1980. What this document says is that they will say, okay, it's going to take me 2 hours to research it and it's going to be 100 pages. They'll now say that they'll send you an email and say that well, it has to go through our record management process, which is to go through the attorney. But they'll send you an email that says this is going to take 2 hours and it's going to be 100 copies and this is the cost. And then you will reply back. For some of the people who did previous record requests and requested information, I don't think you went through that process. And so what I'm trying, what the process is supposed to do is supposed to help streamline the process for you so you know what you're getting and what you're requesting. That's what this is for.
Can you read the process?
Discussion?
Can you open for the public?
The discussion, those of you who have copies of my report, the government code already has something in place for this. We don't need to just put laws and laws and laws and ordinances on top of our citizens. There's also a basic cost provision that the Texas Administration Code already has in place that we follow. On the other side, super public information, there's certain things we don't need to go to OSIN and OSIN for. We are entitled to get this information. It's listed on the back of my report. So there's no need, in my opinion, to put more ordinances on the book, more laws for our citizens.
I agree.
On that. And there's no need to have them draft the,
Amen.
for us to,
Let's say those that are standing up in their seats up here, please. Sit down, please. Yeah, I should sit down, please. No other action on that item. Item number 11, discuss and take action on approving the ditches. This is an item I put on the agenda. You know, we've been having flooding in the city. There's nothing new. We've been taking bids from contractors, trying to get it done. One bid we got cost us $20,000 to do the ditch behind, alongside Ruby Street. We didn't have that kind of money in the budget, so we've been using local contractors to help us clean the ditches, to clean those, let the water move through those thoroughways, the water ways, and get to the creeks. That's the whole subdivision is in a floodplain. It's in a floodplain that's a tributary to the San Jacinto River. It's part of a study done by Half and Associates. And that study was paid for, well, commissioned in part by Waller County, the city of Waller, and Prairie View. For those that are here at Prairie View, we know that this city hall sits on the ridge line that pretty much marks two major watersheds. One watershed draining to the east goes to the San Jacinto River. One watershed going to the west goes to the Brazos River. That area over there around Ruby Street catches the water off this hill, and it flows down through Prairie Hills 1, down across Alita Road, and it's been blocked in several places because of development, either on the farmland or along the ditchway, and it goes over to the Ruby Street area. Ruby Street also catches the water coming down from toward Waller. If you go over to James Muse Parkway and stand on James Muse Parkway and look back towards Ruby Street, you'll be looking at the tops of the roofs of those houses because it's down in a floodway. And it's been in the floodway for a long time. And that's been one of the major areas that we've had flooding over the years. The county has looked at that area. The county's policy, so that you'll know, is that they will only clean county ditches. And those are ditches along county rights-of-way. Those are the roads that they call county roads. Those roads in Prairie View would be Orange Road, White's Chapel Road, Richards Road, Old Houston, Cochran, those roads. That's where they would clean ditches. Everything else, they will not do it anymore. They used to do it under what they call an interlocal agreement. The interlocal agreement now only addresses those county roads. They don't address streets. So cities now must pay for those services. And so we've been trying to figure out a way to try to get that done. So part of getting it done was to come up with a cost so that we could figure out what it would take to really do it right. That area around at the end of Ruby Street needs a major retention area over there. The other night we held a meeting here in this chamber to talk about that. We had Michael Sams here, who was a major property owner over there, that said that he would strongly consider setting aside some land that's adjoining the land that's at the end of Ruby Street for a detention pond. And so we've also made contact with the new owner of the land at the end of Ruby Street to talk to them about making that a detention pond, because water sits there continuously. It doesn't go anywhere. And so one of the things that have pointed out is that once we improve the waterway over on that area, if it causes flooding downstream, then we are responsible if it does any damage downstream. So we have to be careful how we conduct that. There are several impediments to moving this thing forward. One is money, having enough money to do it correctly. What we're proposing is that we clean the ditches to get the water off the people, because the water needs to drain. Now, we can debate it, we can sit up here and talk about who shot John and whatever, but we did take bids. We have those, but those bids came in high, and we don't have that kind of money. We don't have X amount of money in our street improvement account to try to get this done. And so we had a gentleman that said that, and we drove him around and looked at those ditches in every neighborhood. And he said that he had a kind of track hole that could have the round bucket and a laser that could get the right fall for those ditches. And for $75 an hour, he could start moving those impediments that's holding that water back and making it run over the roadway. Put this on here as a start to try to get this done, to give those people some relief because of the money issue. That means that we can go into each subdivision and actually get something done. If he's unable to do it, then we have to back up and try something else. But we brought in several different engineering firms to look at this, and everybody's talking about the scope of the work is tremendous. And we do not have any relief other than what we can pull out of our pockets. That's our relief. People say get grants. Well, grants are out there. We've applied for several grants, not for this project, but for all our other projects. So we're pretty much at our grant quota. What's limiting us on grants now is that we're running out of matching funds. We're getting the grants, but it's been for water and sewage, because our water system was in a terrible shape. We're starting to get it up to speed. We got superior water rating for the first time in the history of the city of Prairie. So you're drinking good water. Sewage was a major issue. We still have clay pipe in the ground, and we still have some issues that we have to address. And so that's what we've been addressing, is these key issues that affect the quality of life. We did the streets, we got the streets paved. Now the ditches need to be cleaned. But this is a major issue. And so it's up to the council if they want to look at this, if they want to go back out for bids, we can go back out and pull other companies in. It's easy to say that you're not doing anything, things need to be done a certain way. But when you're trying to balance this budget and try to make these pennies, stretch these pennies, it's a little difficult. And that's what we've been trying to do. We're trying to get this water off people, because yes, we do a lot of stuff around here. And I'm one of those that's up at night going out there looking at these streets. And when those folks call and say they're flooded, I'm the one going in there at night wading in there and fire ants and other kind of animals, getting those people off roofs and getting them out of there. And we've had to tie ropes around each other to get folks out there many times. That's a floodway. And we've done it over 3 or 4 times to go in there and do this. So this is very serious to us. And it's something that I take very seriously because I know it affects people's lives. There's more of taking shelter at the fire station many times. She'll call us and tell us the water's coming. So we'll go. They call us out. That's what we do. So we're trying to get these ditches cleaned out, get them beveled, get them going the right direction, get them laying the right way to get that water off the road. We're not going to solve it because it's in a floodplain. We can't go any deeper. It's only so far you can go with it because the water's just going to sit there. You also have the highway that's an impediment. The state highway department is not going to open up its culverts any larger than what they already are. So that serves as a dam that backs that water up. And so that water backs up by a lift station. That's one of the tallest lift stations we got in the city. But that water will get up there and get in there. Water will come over that road. eventually. We've seen it come over the road. We've seen it come over the road and push a fire truck. So we had to hurry up and get through that. So it's a very serious issue that needs probably millions of dollars. Probably the best remedy is to buy everybody out and turn it into a park. That's the truth. And that's something FEMA would have to do, or somebody with those kind of deep pockets. In the meantime, we gotta give people relief. We gotta try to help. And so this is what we're trying to do. So we found a gentleman here local. He's a local contractor. And said that he can actually do the work, clean those ditches in each one of the neighborhoods. And that was the most critical neighborhood right now. So we're gonna start with Ruby Street, go to Emerald Street, right there by Miss Henderson, then come up, look at those ditches along Alita, work our way on over to Smith Street. And I think also at the end of Smith Street, is it a pond up in there? Cause that water stands back there.
There are inlets on both sides of Smith Street.
Right, I saw those coming down, and this water stands up in, with some trees back up in there, and it stands up in there. So we gotta get those, cause that water gets up high. And that's coming off these fields that's carrying sediment that's building up in those ditches. And so this is what we have to work with. So we figured with $75 an hour, we could get a lot of work done. Then we cross 1098, go down Smith Street, clean out those trees and ditches by Miss Christopher's along Hill Street. Then come down Hill Street and get those done. The next area we would move to would be up on the top of Prospect and Prairie, because those ditches are almost gotten flat. So I cleaned those out. We got some done. I think one of the last jobs the county got done was Commissioner Whitey got the ditch in front of Dr. Ryle's house done. So that one moved pretty good. But those others are almost flat. And so then we'll go into the other neighborhoods. But that's the pattern we wanted to look at. And so if RC contractors can do it, we want to talk to the council about it. Let's get it done. Let's at least try it. At least we're moving to get something done rather than wait. Because this is just an indication of what's to come. It's not gonna get any better, and then we're getting into hurricane season, and we're gonna get more water, we're gonna get more tropical storms. And we'll be still back here because we don't have the kind of money that it really takes to go in there and do a full, comprehensive job. But we're trying to stretch the pennies that we have. That's what we're working with.
I have a question.
Okay.
How many different companies submitted bids?
We took bids from 3 companies.
Were they all local?
2 were local, 1 was out of Houston. I think the last guy, we took, the last guy we got the bid for that, Ruby Street ditch, he was out of Houston.
Yes, sir, Newman Construction.
What were the rates of the other 2?
The other one the last one that I got, off the top of my head, was $20,000, and that was just for the ditch that come from US 290 to over to Business 290, just that canal area there.
He was gonna do it for $20,000. That wasn't even cleaning the street ditch.
He said if I talked to him further in detail earlier today, and he said before he would attempt to put an hourly rate on it, he would have to come back out and look at all the other individual ditches, and then he would make some kind of assessment from that. But he couldn't get here before Friday or Monday due to high water. Won't let him out of his area where he's living. So.
But his water bid on that one ditch, but was $20,000. We only had what, 30,000 in that account, JB?
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we hire Mr. R.C. Jackson as the independent contractor if his company is approved to do business, if his company is a necessary approved company in the state of Texas.
I have other ratings.
Well, let's hold the motion and let's have a discussion. I have no problem. Let's discuss it.
May I share mine? Okay, I'm looking at this bid, cleaning ditches throughout the subdivision. I mean, it doesn't say what he's gonna, how he's gonna do it. Number one, you mentioned that engineering firms had looked at it. Well, what was their recommendation? I wanna go back to when I first moved back here. My house used to flood every time it rained, until my son had to regrade it and put a retaining wall. Now, I never had that issue. He could have cleaned out those ditches and the culverts. I still would have been flooded. So whatever we do, we want to make sure we do the right thing. We want to get the best bang for our buck. And just to tell me you're cleaning ditches throughout the subdivision, well, that's what those guys from Houston did with those shovels. They came in there to clean our ditches. Do the ditches need to be deeper? And he says nothing about the culverts. He said, okay, I cleaned the ditches, but I didn't tell you I was going to do anything with the culverts. This is very, very broad, very general, and I don't think we will be doing justice to the people in that community who need relief. I feel their pain. I feel what they're going through, because I live here. I grew up here. So we don't need to just spend money to say, look, we tried to help you. No, let's help them right. Let's do it the right way. And the council didn't see any other bids. We weren't privy to any of this. All we know is R.C. Jackson, and we need to be included in these decisions.
Amen.
We did the same thing last month. Y'all asked us to do the contracts. We didn't get to see the contracts. We didn't get to see this one. We don't even know who RC Construction is. Are they qualified to do the job? Okay. We know he might just go rent a tractor and dig a ditch. I mean, Ms. Herman said, so we need to get the bids. We need to know their qualifications. Are they bonded?
And what are they gonna do and what equipment are they using? It just says cleaning ditches throughout subdivision. Now what does that tell you? No.
Is he even here? Who's RC Construction? Are they even here? Okay.
Well, I go out there and pick up paper, bottles,
Let me say this, we can do that, we can postpone this, I have no problem with it.
I don't want to postpone it too long. These people need relief.
Well, we're trying to give them relief, Ms. Herman, and we visited with Mr. Jackson with RC Construction. We drove, me and Mr. John, we drove, we looked at the ditches, we talked about the scope of work. What I was trying to do is get the approval for the hourly rate, and then we would Japanese.
But this man, is he doing it, does he have a crew, or is he doing a single person, or what? Or how long is it gonna take to do the crew? People? No?
Well, he's got workers, but it's not. We can postpone. Y'all wanna do it? I mean, that seemed to be the intent here anyway, was to do it.
We're not trying to delay it. I know it needs to be done, but we need to know what we're signing. I mean, same things, we won't be in the same predicament with the city hall. We can know that this contract is binding, withstanding, not just signing to say we're doing something.
We have a motion on the floor.
There'll be no ditch cleaning. I'm gonna pull down item number 12, and go to item number 13. Item number 13, discuss and take action on approving the resolution 05-262015, resolution for the City Council Prairie authorizing submission of Public Works and Economic Development grant application to the United States Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration, and authorizing the mayor to act as the city's executive officer and authorized representative in all matters pertaining to the city's participation in the economic development program. So the citizens will know all these contracts with these agencies authorize the mayor as the chief executive officer to be the signer on these documents. And everybody that's served in this position knows that's just the standard language. It's not usurping anybody else, and those that made those statements know that that's not true. That we should have used 4B. That's the language. That's the standard language of these documents. So that's the language in the resolution that authorized the mayor to sign off on these documents. So as the mayor, whoever it is, me or anybody else, that's the official head of the city, and that's whose name goes on these documents. So it's not any way to usurp anybody. So a lot of times people twist information for political reasons, and that's not right. You're giving out erroneous information. So let me read the resolution. And this resolution, we have a copy of this. Okay, this is a resolution for development. Now, we did have a workshop here at City Hall. Those that wanted to come were invited, council members that wanted to come were invited to participate in the workshop. And this resolution is to put sewage and water on James Mews Parkway. That's what it's about. It's asking for a $1.5 million grant, and the city would have to put up matching funds of $300,000 to the grant, and it must create at least 15 jobs. And so Roy Perry has purchased some land on James Mews Parkway, and he solicited input from other developers to bring in businesses that can create these jobs. And we've also looked at what's this other company on Old Houston?
Yeah,
Tomball Forest, with extending services to them, which would add to those jobs. How many jobs they have, Mr. Tomball?
120 jobs.
And the more jobs that these grant applications have, the higher score that we get. So this is a good project for the city of Prairie View. And so we're asking the council to favorably consider this resolution for the creation of this economic development opportunity. Because what this will do, it will provide sewage and water on Mews Parkway that currently does not have sewage and water. And it will run it from Old Houston to Orange Road. And that will also make those properties along Orange Road more attractive for business development. This is a resolution of the City of Prairie View, Texas, authorizing submission of public works and economic development grant program application to the United States Department of Commerce, Economic Development Administration, authorizing the mayor to act as the city's executive officer and authorize representative in all matters pertaining to the city's participation in the economic development program. Whereas the City Council of the City of Prairie View desires to develop a viable urban community, including decent housing and suitable living environment and expanding economic opportunities, principally for persons of low and moderate income, and whereas certain conditions exist which represent a threat to the public health and safety, and whereas the installation and expansion of water and sewer systems along James Mews Parkway and along Old Houston Highway corridor will serve to enhance public health and safety and contribute to area economic development. And whereas federal grant monies are available to assist in the cost of the water and sewer enhancement described herein. And whereas it is necessary and in the best interest of the City of Prairie View to apply for funding under FY 2015 Economic Development Assistance Grant Program, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council, City of Prairie View, Texas, that a Public Works and Economic Development Grant Program application be hereby authorized to be filed on behalf of the city with the United States Department of Commerce, Economic Development Administration, that the city's application be placed in competition for funding under the catalog of federal domestic assistance number 11.300, funding opportunity number EDA P2015, that the application is for $1.5 million of grant funds for a water and sewage system installation and expansion along activities along James Mews Parkway from Orange Road to US Business 290 and along Old Houston Highway corridor within Prairie View, Texas. That the City Council directs and designates the mayor as the city's chief executive officer and authorize representatives to act on all matters in connection with this application and the city's participation in the Economic Development Assistance Grant Program. That all funds will be used in accordance with all applicable federal, state, local, and programmatic requirements, including but not limited to procurement, environmental review, labor standards, real property acquisition, and civil rights requirements. That it further be stated that the City of Prairie View is committing a minimum of $300,000 from their bond fund for the water and sewer system installation expansion activity project.
Mr. Mayor, I'm certainly happy to see the city being involved in, bringing the water and sewage down, Muse Parkway. However, I totally agree with the first part of this, discuss and take action on approving resolution, blah, blah, blah. It says administration and authorizing the mayor to act as the city's executive officer, period. And in the authorized representative, we are working to get an economic development coordinator before and the city council act in all matters pertaining to the city's participation in the economic development program. So in place of representative, it would be a suggestion, my suggestion, that we include economic development coordinator and city council, rather than one person being the representative to act in all matters pertaining to the city's participation.
That's the standard language in all documents. If the city wants to change it, I mean, that's,
Well, I think you should act as, you are the mayor, so you should be the executive officer. But the second part of that, the representative could be the economic development coordinator.
we don't have that person.
And we will have that person, we're gonna have a call meeting.
We do not have that person now.
Well, then we'll just say the city council, the mayor and city council. But I think the economic development coordinator, who is pending, and, but if that's not possible, then the mayor and city council act in all matters pertaining to the city's participation in the economic.
The council is implied by the language, because I can only, the mayor can only act with the will of the council.
I don't read that the way this is written.
The grant, that's the 1.5 million, the 1.5 million we're talking about, right? So, that's what we put 300,000, they put 1.5 million, right? So, we don't get this grant until they have those 15 jobs, is the language, right? So we wouldn't start doing the sewage until we got approved.
No, what they have is part of the application process. They have, to certify that those jobs are gonna be there.
Right.
We have one developer that wants to put a business enterprise on the corner of James Reese Parkway and US 290. That will create those 15 jobs. So he's got to show them, I guess, a performer in his development plans, his financials, etc., to show that 15 jobs will be created. That's why we looked at another opportunity that was presented to us with a paper company along, well, a lumber company, along Old Houston, because they have those jobs and they're looking to expand. They approached the city asking us to provide them with utilities, sewer and water. They're within our ETJ, our extraterritorial jurisdiction, and by them being there, that also now gives us the authority, once we provide them with sewage and water, to annex that property and move the city's boundaries a little bit further east, which gives us a buffer, so that all development now will be in favor of the city of Prairie. That's the advantage of that. That's the strategic advantage of that.
At the workshop, I know David Allen had raised a question about the employees, the management people, about those 15 jobs. The people who have to manage the property that Mr. Perry's going to put up. Because Mr. Perry was talking about professional job, doctors and that kind of stuff, but David Allen asked the question about the regular people who are going to have to manage the property. With those jobs count towards that 15 jobs, and I was just wondering if you had got any clarification on that.
No, we hadn't pursued that because Mr. Perry's management company developed the housing portion of it and some of the other retail and lease those out. But for him to be able to certify that now that he's got those, he can't do it. This other guy he brought in, this other developer can do that. That's what the 15 jobs was one on the corner. And then just as a backup, we decided to extend that opportunity to this other company that's got more than the 15 jobs. But those extra jobs now will help us score higher on our application.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Brown.
I move that we approve the resolution 0526-2015 with the addition of the, adding the city council as the authorized representative along with the mayor as chief executive officer.
Second.
We move the proper second that we approve resolution 0526-2015 with the addition of the language that the mayor and city council will be the authorized representatives of the city on all documents. We have the motion and second. Are you ready for the question?
Question.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Thank y'all very much. Item number 14, discussing, take action on returning to conducting council meetings twice monthly on the first and fourth Tuesday of each month. Councilmember Hunter.
Actually, that's mine, and that there is an error. It should be second and fourth Tuesday of each month. Now, this being an example of why we need to meet at least twice a month, be in and out of here in an hour or less. When things come up like this, these emergencies that come up, we do need to meet more than once. We see each other once to meet. And it's just not enough. Now that we're growing, things are really beginning to happen here in the city, we need to meet more than once a month. And if we're in and out of here in an hour, we want to keep people here for 2 hours, one day of the week. And that's the reason I put this on here, because once a month is just not sufficient. When we're growing the way we're growing, and we're moving the way we're moving, we need to meet more often than once a month.
Starting when though?
Well, you have to prepare a resolution, because we have a resolution already that we've adopted, saying when our meetings, establishing our meetings. We do that resolution at the end of each year, each calendar year, setting the dates and the times for the meetings for the upcoming year. So we're gonna do
It'll
this.
be at the end of our calendar year.
Yeah, we set up a resolution at the December meeting, to actually pass that, and we set the date and time so people can start planning their calendars and, their other activities based upon what we said, so the public will know and we'll know, so council members can know how to plan their work schedule and other activities.
And that's on the second and fourth, not the first and fourth.
Okay, so that will come up at the next, well, at the last meeting in December, when we actually set this, and that's by resolution.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman.
I move that we approve and returning conducting council meetings twice a month to the second and fourth Tuesday of each month.
You can't make that motion. We have to wait till December, and it's gotta be done by resolution.
So we don't take action on this?
No, that's no action item.
Action item one.
Well, it was handed in as an action item, but it's a discussion item that has to be done by resolution at the last meeting, of the year. That's by council. So if the council's gonna change rules, then we need to go by its own, agenda. All right.
So we don't make sure we put this on as a resolution in December?
You can have the resolution drafted and ready for the December meeting.
I know a lot of things get put on.
Now, we have a sample of the resolution already, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We got samples of those resolutions. So the one we do every year.
So we are out of order to make a motion that we do this in December by form of a resolution, since it is on the agenda as an action item.
Well,
Yeah, you certainly can authorize, you can certainly make that motion, it would be seconded, it's up to y'all if you want to do it.
There's the resolution that says that we meet once a month here already, so it would be amending that.
so the motion would be
To draft the resolution.
so we'll be adopting a resolution in the future?
No.
No,
If you want to make a
This as an
motion
agenda
to
item.
authorize us to prepare a resolution in December or whenever you want to allow for meetings twice a month, you can make that motion.
So the authorization of the submission of the
Yes, for us to prepare, to make sure stuff.
The attorney, we already have a resolution in place, the attorney doesn't have to prepare it.
We have to amend the resolution under the equal dignity rule.
All right, so,
You state your motion.
So, I move that we,
Do you want to make a motion to authorize us to amend the resolution to meet
I move that we
twice
authorize
a
the
month?
the amended resolution to conduct council meetings twice monthly, the second and fourth Tuesday of each month to be on the December agenda.
second.
There you go. Rules proper second that we authorize the resolution be drafted, to the second and fourth Tuesday of each month of the regular council meetings, and that'll be on the December agenda. With the motion and second, are you ready for the question?
Question.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Update on city glass, city hall safety equipment and city hall safety glass and employee main office, peepholes and doors. Ms. Hunter.
Okay, that was my agenda item, but I received an email that, Mr. Johnson, Police Chief Johnson would update us on that. Now, the reason I put this on here, you know, with Homeland Security, with things happening, especially in small cities now, we need to keep our employees as safe as possible. And I received an email saying that, Chief Johnson was gonna update us on that. And can you update us on
Well, I wasn't aware of that, but I can talk about that if you'd like.
Probably JJ. Probably JJ.
No, it said Chief Johnson would update us.
I believe we had talked about this once before.
But when is
We're
that?
supposed to be.
He was taking bids on
We're
that.
supposed to be taking
I
business.
just want an update on it.
I think anything that you do that would add as far as protection, and I understand that with the environment we're living in, that there's always a concern with our employees being just totally exposed. So I think anything that you consider that would make that a safer environment for them to work in would be a definite improvement.
What's happening on the glass enclosure, do you
No,
know?
no, ma'am, I have not been involved in that whatsoever.
I feel like we approved, no, we approved this with Mr. Jones, this is old.
Yeah, I can address that. This came up, we started addressing this with Carl some months back, and he was in the process of getting some bids. First thing we had to do was figure out how we were gonna fund it. And we came up with a funding source, which is through the funds that we do have available through the Building and Securities Fund. And that will provide the funds for it. And now we're in the process of talking to contractors as far as what type of glass. What Carl had found out that one company wanted to propose glass that wasn't bulletproof glass. And we said that we do want bulletproof glass. And so we're in the process now, since Carl has been gone, we're having to redirect as far as who would be just communicating with the different vendors. And I'm in the process of giving some of those vendors to, I'll probably use Fred as far as a city contact person to meet with those vendors and come up with a suitable design with the people, with bulletproof glass preferably, that will fit within the funds that we do have available. And will completely enclose that counter that's in the reception area.
Yeah, that's what.
Right.
We met with the staff, Ms. Alexander, I think should be your point of contact, Shalique.
Whoever y'all.
And myself.
Yeah,
And, we met with the city staff on reconfiguring that front counter service there, with the idea of putting a separate window to the left, that far left area over there, and kind of making opaque glass, but you can also use it other areas for office space.
Yeah, and what Carl had done was to get a contractor to come out and look at what we have, and they can give us some ideas based on the types of materials that you would be using and putting in place there. Very similar to what you have in your window for your municipal court. But very similar to that.
So you.
Yeah, right, right.
You keep moving.
So hopefully we'll have something by next council meeting that you all, we'll give all the details will be given to you.
Anything else on that? Okay, item number 16, discuss and take action on ordinance enforcement throughout the city, i.e. building on southeast corner of Orange Road and Thompson, abandoned two-story apartment building off Eccles Street, abandoned trailer and tall weeds on Eccles, numerous code violations and after Vista, abandoned residents on Oak Street. Ms. Herman.
Okay, we have ordinances on the book, and my concern is we're not enforcing our ordinances, otherwise these situations would not be taking place. I know there are a group of residents over in, say, the Alta Vista subdivision, for instance, who work very hard on trying to clean up that neighborhood, bring it back up, and the city needs to do its part in enforcing ordinances. And that's why that's on.
Well, I asked Ms. Shannon Smith because the city is enforcing its ordinances and codes. And we're following the process that's been adopted by the city to enforce its ordinances and codes. And there's a process we have to go through in order to get people in compliance, to protect the city. Ms. Smith, you want to explain the process?
That's, in reference to this agenda item, that's each and every item Ms. Herman has listed here. Each one of those property owners has been notified, and we're waiting for the time to lapse, like from 10 to 30 days, and we will be taking action.
Is it a citation after 30 days, or what's the action?
After 30 days, it depends on what, if it's a condemnation or just a fine for tall weeds, so it's right there for each property owner.
Some of these people have already been in front of the court. They've been issued citations, they've had trials, jury trials, but we have to go through this process in order to protect the city. So we are taking steps, we've involved Mr. Cook, the building inspector.
On the condemnation, if they haven't complied by the next meeting, Mr. Cook will be here, and then we'll give you guys 3 bids, y'all choose one, and then we'll condemn the ones that have not complied.
But the council then will go to hire a contractor to demolish.
Right.
So action's already taken. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
You're welcome.
Item number 17, discuss and take action on tax refund amount of $432.31 to Comex Group LLC. Prairie account number 431000, account 004000000. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the tax refund in the amount of $432.31 to Coleman Street LLC, City of Prairie, account 431000-004-000-000. Second.
We would probably second that we approve tax refund in the amount of $432.31 to Comex LLC. I've heard the motion, second, are you ready for the question?
Question.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, aye. Item number 18, discuss and take action on tax refund in the amount of $372.18 to Morris Curtis, City of Prairie, account number 71-900-002-001-000.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the tax refund in the amount of $372.18 to Morris Curtis, City of Prairie View, account 719-000-002-001-000.
Second. We move the proper second, that we approve tax refund amount of $372.18 to Morris Curtis, City of Prairie Protection. With the motion, second, are you ready for the question?
Question.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Item number 19, discuss and take action on tax refund amount of $4.50 to Perez Francisco and Herman Nova, City of Prairie View, account number 71-4400-022-000.
Mr. Mayor, I
Councilman.
move that we approve the refund for $4.50 to Perez Francisco and Megan Herman, who's not a relative. per bill account 714400-022-328-000.
Second.
Moving properly second that we approve tax refund amount of $4.50 to Prairie, Francisco, and Herman Motor, the amount of $4.50. Need motion second, are you ready for the question?
Question.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 20, we got a county report, Mr. Johnson.
Good evening to the mayor, city council members, residents of the city of Prairie View, friends of the area, and department heads. We're in the 7th month of the current fiscal period. You should have your report there. Again, let's look at page 1. To date, we've taken in $2,010,000 versus a budget of $1,500,000, which is a $452,000 favorable variance. Again, primarily due to the collection of property taxes. It's a time thing, but it'll start decreasing as we go to the next months because we've basically collected the majority of our property taxes that we will see this period. Expenditures, $1,200,000 versus a budget of $1,500,000, which is a favorable variance, and that's very good because that's pretty much, you don't have a timing difference there. So overall, we're showing about a $700,000 favorable variance. We go to page 3. Page 3 will show you what's in our cash coffers. The tax department is basically our reserve. At the time, we have $443,000 in there. And we have a total of $2,700,000. Of that $443,000, we do have to transfer funds over to debt service, which we're obligated to do. And that's taking place in the month of May, which should have been about $90,000 of that $443,000. All of the tax money comes into the tax account, and then we in turn transfer the portion that's for what we call debt service to the debt service account. And that's the 90 that I'm referencing there. If you were to look at page 11, you would see due from general fund, $90,595. And then if you go back to page 4, you'd see under liabilities from the general fund, $90,595.22 that's due to debt service. By the same token, general fund did receive funds from crime control that we hadn't transferred over of roughly $56,000. And the same holds true if you look at crime control, you'll see due to, on page 13, the $56,000 due to general fund. That's basically all that I got to report for the month of April. Y'all got any questions for me?
So the overage that we have on the legal coming from debt service that we have to transfer over, are we paying that?
No. The overage on legal is just a part of, it offsets in general fund. But we're paying that out of general fund account. Mm-hmm.
So we transferred money in there, so
No.
that amount wasn't budgeted?
No, that has nothing to do, the money that we're transferring is simply the property tax portion that's for your debt service. It has nothing to do with legal. Mm-hmm. Legal itself is a part of your, if you look at page 6, legal is a part of all the other line items, and they all offset each other. If you look at year-to-date in legal on page 7, we do have a favorable variance of about $64,000 out of $621,000 on page 7. You'll see that favorable variance. But again, what you're referencing is if you look at the line item for legal on page 6, that's what you're referencing the amount of legal, which is roughly $60,000, versus a budget of $30,000. And that's an unfavorable variance of about $29,000. And since you mentioned legal, I did put together for you all, and I'll hand it to you now, a little small analysis of the legal costs by year. And also in there is some detail of the cost for the current period, and then I did an analysis, a 2-year analysis of the year 13 and 14. Did I give you all each one of those? On the top cover is a year-by-blow analysis of legal costs starting in the year 1995 through current 7 months in 2015. And I listed the different attorneys who were working for the city for those years. The second page is an analysis for your information of the legal costs for just the current period. Now, it's separated, the 1621 code for legal, that's primarily all of the legal costs that comes up that's out of the court system. The court system is the legal cost that you see under the 3621. And that's where you see Tangela Taylor and what have you. That's basically the legal cost that pertains to the court system. The other legal costs under the 1621 code is all the other legal costs that we incur each month, and you have it month by month, as far as all the other, and y'all have been alluding to the different types of requests that you get. And then the next page, I went back and I ran an analysis for 2 years, for 13 and 14. And the same thing takes place as far as the difference between the two codes. The 1621, again, is all your miscellaneous legal costs, and then the 3621 is the legal costs pertaining to the court system. In addition to this here, and I'll have Shannon, if you all want to, it's up to, if y'all have requested, but we can pull all of the Olson invoices and let you all look at those. And that way you can see all of the costs that are incurred for the months for this current period. Yes, yes, it's blow by blow. I did go through the one that we just paid in May, excuse me, in April. And the most of that cost pertained to the work on the charter. And go ahead. No. That was May's. The one that I haven't seen May's yet. We haven't processed May's month yet. This we processed through April. What's that?
The one we approved today was for 9,000. That was for April, correct?
No, that's for May. That's May's month. That's for the month of May. So we're still in the month of May.
Right.
So my report goes through the month, through April that we've completed. So I can't do May until we've actually completed the month of May. And so that's why I'm just referencing right now, in the month of April, this was $11,204. I'll just critique it for you guys. The charter was $6,324. Election cost was $1,680. Council meetings, attending council meetings was $1,020, and that's based on the number of hours that they have to spend here. And then miscellaneous was $2,180. Miscellaneous pertains to different police matters, records retention, employee agreements, and some student work for getting different types of security services. I think an ordinance for students is discussed with the attorneys, but that's the makeup of the one in April. But we will get you copies of all of this current year, and you guys can look at it
And you can see, because it does tell you every hour that they've billed, it tell you what they will bill for. And that would, that'll answer whatever questions that you might have. If that's, we can give you that. Yes, sir.
The amount that you have here for the 7 months, with these that was included with Mr. Richardson, did that include, you have it all separated by court versus services to council versus
I can
services?
separate that, but
No,
yeah,
no, no.
go ahead.
The amount you have here,
Yeah.
is that all services, meaning economic 4B? Is that just city council? Is that court services, these numbers you have here?
Which ones? Those numbers that you have on that page
It's just for one.
is the two different main aspects of the legal service that we receive. It's both court and the miscellaneous attorney services that they provide to the city.
And
It has
so-
nothing to do with 4B.
Right, so when you look at, say for the 10 years or however long that Mr. Richardson was the attorney, this total was inclusive of municipal court and city council, correct?
Those two together.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And so, right now, this line item from 2015 and the 7 months for Olson, that is only for city court, right?
That's both city, and if you look at the page I gave you for the current year. That's the first page. Look at the first page.
Gotcha.
That right there separates the, look at the top part, the 1621 code. That right there is all of the legal matters, the miscellaneous legal matters that the city had to confer with Olson and Olson. The 3621 are the legal costs for your court system. Those are the two. And then I went back and I did the same separation on the second page. And you can see the part, I went back to 213 and did the same analysis. The 1621 represents the miscellaneous miscellaneous legal charges to the city of Prairie. And then the 3621 code are the legal charges for the court system. And you can see it references by description those that pertain to Mr. Richardson while he was attorney, and then those that pertain to Olson since they've been attorney. And I just did it now for those 2 periods now to give y'all that information that I think you've been alluding to.
Thank you, Judge.
And I will get y'all those, are y'all saying you want me to give y'all
Yes, sir.
those months detail?
Yes, sir.
I'll get Shannon to have those ready for you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Administrative reports, Ms. Alexander.
Well, for the administrative office, we don't have any new business to report, but we are still making progress, and we're still streamlining some processes and coming up with some innovative ways to do some old jobs. So unless you have any questions for me, anybody? Well, I think we have a few bugs to work out, but overall it's doing well. We've gotten quite a few people who've taken advantage of the online payment system for water bills.
So how are we with the hiring process?
Well, actually, we're kind of slow on that, and I had intended to update council on some specifics during executive session.
Could you share one or two of the innovative measures that are being taken?
Well, one is the online payments. So, of course, when we create new systems and new ways of doing things, we have to create policies to administer those systems. So, we are doing some greater reporting for the online payments and the water bills, the permits, anything that can be paid online. So, we are implementing processes along with these new ways of doing business.
So when they pay the water bill online, is there a fee for them to pay the water bill online?
For the customer, yes.
Which is how much?
It's $3 for each $100.
Any other questions for Ms. Alexander? Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Delinquent tax reports included, the municipal court report, Judge Overstreet's report included, police report, Chief Johnson.
Mayor and Council, you have a copy of the report. If there be any questions regarding the monthly report, we've been fairly active.
We asked about update on the vehicles.
Okay, we have purchased 2 vehicles. We're in the process now of working through getting bids to outfit the vehicles, trying to make sure that we get the best value for the money. So that's where we are with those. That we're getting bids from different companies as far as the lights and all the things that is going in the vehicle.
So what's the deadline on those bids? And how long you gonna put it out there?
Well, it's not, no, we didn't really issue, we're just calling, we're getting bids, we're calling companies, getting bids. What we did was we got, I got with the Chief and Waller, since they just bought new vehicles and got their specs, what they did so we could compare costs to make sure that the numbers we're getting are in line with what they should be. So we're working right now with at least 2 companies in Houston to try to compare those costs to make sure that we're getting a good value for what we
Do you know about how much longer it'll be before we get that all squared
We're
away?
gonna try to get that done as soon as possible because it will take them sometimes 3 or 4 weeks or longer just to order the stuff. So it does take us a little bit, but you know we wanted to make sure we got the good value because some of it, like Waller has computers and their computers won't have it, so some of those things we can pull out. So we've just been trying to make a good comparison of the equipment in the vehicle.
Hopefully we can do that pretty expediently, because we've had them for a month, and we don't want them to sit out there, we want them on the
Sure.
road.
So, what type of equipment you gonna try to put on the vehicle?
It's the standard stuff, the lights, the radio, there has to be a console for the radio, they're just basic stuff. Yeah. As you can see with any of the other SUVs, you'll see the light packages. We want to make sure that they are visible, since they're wider, bigger vehicles, make sure that they're visible. So there are different ways to put the lighting package, but there are some standard things that would be. But it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just common stuff that you'll find in most any police package vehicle. We did make sure that those vehicles are what they call police package. That means they have the suspension, they have the dual batteries, which was critical because of all the lights and the radio and those types of things. So that they will be able to handle the equipment that goes in.
So do you think maybe June will be out there?
As soon as we can. I think probably the biggest obstacle is going to be how quickly they can get the things in from the vendors, and we have no control of that. And being a relatively small order compared to what a lot of these shops are doing, we won't be at the front of the line. But we've got some good relationships, I think, with some of these people, and so I think we'll get good service. The main thing is that is in my prior experience, if you don't get it done right, it is really difficult trying to go back and, because it's so much wiring, and trying to make sure that and that's why we're trying to go with a reputable company to make sure they do it correctly, because it can affect a lot of things. They have to be concerned, they have to be knowledgeable of where those airbags are, the different controls, all those safety things that are in those vehicles. They have to know where they are so they don't interfere with that. They have to know what circuits they can hook what into. So it's a lot involved, so we're going to need to go with somebody that does this professionally.
I'm certainly glad that you're taking the time to do it right.
Well, we appreciate the council's approval. Yes, ma'am, I understand. And actually, we've actually used them a couple of times for some other stuff, so sometimes they're good not having the lights on. Well, not on patrol, but we do some other things. Yeah. Well, not necessarily patrol, but some stealth kind of things.
I know it was specifically asked.
Oh yes, but once they're outfitted, they will be.
Get them outfitted so we can get them out
I'm just as anxious as you are. As soon as we can get, but we want to make, again, we want to make sure we do it right, because I've had experience that if you don't, you spend more time trying to fix it than you do by doing it right to begin with. So,
Chief,
yes, sir.
I know the continued theme with the police force was our word contacts, police contacts.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, just looking through your report and 157 citations ready for last month. I just want to commend you guys on actually, you know.
Well, I commend the officers for being responsive to what we've asked them to do, and those contacts have generated, as you'll see, a lot of these other numbers come from that, and we've made arrests for stolen property, for narcotics, for all sorts of things. I can tell you, Ms. Hernan, answering your question, there's one gentleman, he's very familiar with one of our vehicles, because I just went and parked in his driveway. we didn't have any other options, and we were getting complaints, and we know what's going on there, but we really couldn't. So I think the best next thing, I just went and knocked on his door and parked in his driveway. So he knows that great vehicle.
Now, they're gonna be black and white?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So you know who's gonna do the painting?
We've got one local vendor that had gave us half of what everybody else was doing. So
the lights and things, there's a local vendor that's.
So what, so you saying that they're getting ready to paint one of those cars?
that's a great
Why? Why do you?
to have the fleet uniform, so they all be.
So you couldn't have gotten a vehicle that was already black or white
We
instead of getting?
we looked all over the place. There were some that we found, but they were older. This was one that was fairly new, had fairly low miles. We spent considerable amount of time trying to find vehicles. I went and looked at several myself. We went all over Houston. I mean, they're just not easy to find. What happens is that when you have the move and law enforcement going to the particular Tahoe, the large orders from Houston and San Antonio and Dallas and all those, they clean up everything. And so we found both of these vehicles, I think we were lucky in that they were owned by law enforcement officers, but they were individuals that owned them. And so they had very low miles, both of them were very clean, they didn't, so I think we got good deals on. But yeah, we looked, the preference would have been to find one that we didn't have to paint, but that's, we looked and looked and looked and looked, not only just locally, but all over the state and even surrounding states. They're just there was a lot of them out there, but they have very high mileage and all sorts of things, so.
Is there a dealer in Caldwell, Texas?
Yes, ma'am, talked to them. We talked to them on several occasions. They didn't have anything other than the new vehicle, and it takes them a long time. When I talked to Waller, they ordered those vehicles back in November, and they just got them. So it takes a long time. Because they generally don't keep them in stock, because they only sell them to law enforcement, that particular package. So they're not gonna, keep some in stock until during that season when everybody's buying. But so we check dealerships all over.
I just wanted to tell you thank you in the department. Getting the contacts up was important. I think the plan that you set for us a couple months ago, when council got the support that you needed to be able to get the numbers up, I think I appreciate it, and the citizens appreciate it too.
Well, I appreciate that. As I said, I give the credit to our officers for being responsive, and once we start realizing what that meant, it's not about issuing citations, it's about public safety, and it's about, as I said, that's why we refer to them as contacts. Because we make a lot more contacts where there's not a citation issue, but it covers several bases. It helps us connect with the citizens, plus we know who's connected to who and who drives to what, and I mean, again, but we've been able to recover property and different things, and also from a historical standpoint, the officers now remember when we have an incident. I stopped that car a month ago, and Fred was with him. Not that one, but my old buddy back there. But it really comes into play with a lot of things. But we're pleased with the direction we're going. And there are other things that we have planned, but we're trying to do incremental steps. and get us moving and keep us moving in a positive direction. And we appreciate the support we get from the council. It makes a world of difference, I can tell you. It really does.
All right, any other questions for Chief Johnson? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Public Works, Mr. Alexander.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, citizens of Prairie View, friends, daughter Chelsea. I'd like to say good evening to everybody. Yes, I did bring my daughter along tonight, y'all. Start off with, the last month we were here, I was talking about the infiltration and stuff that we have within the city of Prairie View, infrastructure. We still have that issue. I don't mean to stand here and talk and give y'all the weather report, because we all know it's been raining and it hasn't stopped, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. So what we've been dealing with the elements that's out there, and we were working through it, within it, and it's a process. It's going to take some time. So moving on with that, one of the most important things we're going to deal with that I would like to see us just focus on is safety. Be mindful of areas that you're in or around. Make sure that the people around you, that you got eye contact on them. You don't want your kids, you don't want yourself or your kids or any family member or anybody to find themselves in those ditches, you know, because that's some tragic things can happen in this type of environment with this high water and stuff like that. So just practice safety. You know, always remember to take care of yourself and the guy next to you, because the life you save may be each other's. So just a little safety awareness program that I want to bring up. And speaking of water, we've been having a lot of flooding issues, water rising in the streets, local streets, especially, well, throughout the city of Prairie View. But what's real noticeable is that area along University Drive. If you've visited or driven down that area within the last week or two, you see ditches full of water, water coming out on the street, and that's because the inlets were clogged up, causing that water to back up into the subdivisions in the areas. And talked with Mr. Muse over off of Smith Street. That was one of the big areas there, and assured him that we would do something. And actually what we did, we got in touch with TxDOT and got those people to come out and take a look at what was going on. And eventually they came out, the first thing they did, came out, they brought a couple of street sweeping trucks through there. And it did some good. It did some good. It didn't do all the good. It did some good. Basically, what that thing does is it stirs the sand up and sucks it up into the vehicle, cleans the street, but it doesn't ease those inlets that's taking on that water. So probably about 2 or 3 days to 4 days later, they came out with equipment and got in there and started cleaning those ditches out, and letting that water be relieved from those ditch areas. That area along Smith and down near that U-Haul rental space place, water was also rising there and down farther north between see right there at near that bookstore on Echo Street and University. Those were also blocked inlets, and they finally came out and got them clear and got them flowing. But we need to revisit those areas, because after that water did rescind, you could also go up there and see, when you look down into the inlet, you still have standing water there. So there's still blockage. So, you know, like I say, a lot of things you can't see until some of the water's there. So we'll have to get back with TxDOT and ask that department to come back out and take a look at those inlets while the water has descended down some. It's pretty much all I have on those waterways. One of the other things that we talked about is cleaning those ditches throughout the city. We've, I guess, already discussed a lot of that as far as getting people in here and try to get somebody in here and try to get those areas flowing. You know, get that water. The water shouldn't stand there, it should leave, because after a while, sooner or later, we're going to have a mosquito issue because that's standing water, and that's the breeding ground for mosquitoes. Get rid of the water, you get rid of the mosquitoes. Or you spend X amount of dollars treating those ditches with some type of chemical that kills that stuff. That's a work in progress. We have to, like I say, go back to the table, contact other people, come up with, create a list, some dollar signs, and see where we go from there. But that is one of the major issues that we have on the table. And aside from that, we supposed to have a tractor. The tractor is on its way. The tractor is in Arizona. The Versailles is in Arizona. The problem, what exists is that when we went and looked at the tractor didn't have the bucket attached to it, but the inventory showed that, hey, what's in that crate belongs to that tractor, but after further review, that bucket didn't match up. So they had to order that bucket. I talked to the guy today up at Washington County Tractor, and he said, hopefully by Friday, everything should be there and attached and ready for delivery. If not Friday, possibly Monday. But that's where we are on the tractor. All right?
How are your lift stations doing?
Lift stations are working hard, and they're going to continue to work hard because of the infiltration. Like I say, once we get that handled, at least get a hand on it, and we should see some improvement. And last time we talked, I talked about the smoke testing, and that smoke testing is accurate, but we can't do it when we get this rain. If we've got water in these cracks and crevices, it won't let the smoke out of the ground. So we have to wait till the rains stop, and we'll give it a few days to dry up, and then we'll get back on track with the smoke testing. But right now, the lift stations are working hard.
You want to update the council on the street sign project?
No. If y'all would notice, throughout certain areas, we hadn't finished yet. We just a work in progress. You start noticing new street signs, and the street signs look very good, according to my eyes. They are fluorescent, like if the light hit it from a vehicle headlight or something, it illuminates. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. There's a City of Prairie logo. There's a City of Prairie logo on the corner of the sign, and like I say, we hadn't been out throughout the whole city, but we started in areas, and we're gonna continue until we get those signs replaced. All the bad signs, we take them down, replace them, poles, leaning poles, straightening them up. We making it look good. Making it look good.
So is that just street signs, or is that also like traffic signs, like children crossing?
Right now, just street signs.
Name. Okay.
One thing that, we have, maybe, you know, we're gonna be, bringing on some extra summer help. The university has agreed to, pay for some summer interns. How many people one, and they got one for the staff, they'll give them an extra person to help them do these minor projects.
Yeah, but that person that will be getting in the public works will be pretty much assisting me with records, trying to get some type of filing system set up to where you don't, when somebody come and visit, you don't have to take you all day or all week to locate this information. It'll be available and ready for viewing. But that person will be more in administration. Tomorrow, I'll be interviewing candidates for the public works technician job that's available. So hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow, a decision will be made on the candidate.
How many people?
On 3 applications.
Now, I know, you know, we have to have a call meeting, we don't have one to take care of this, because this is a priority, Prairie Acres and Hillcrest. And it's not something that needs to wait a month. So we need to have a call meeting, we'll do that, and maybe calling on you too. And if you can check with Ms. Henderson's house right there, it's the street just west of Ruby. Is that him? Please check with her, because this is the second time her house is flooded in 2 weeks. So if there's anything we can do to relieve that at you know, as the city can do, please check with her on that. And
is that Legion? Is that Legion?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Sure. Other than that, that's all I have. Any questions from the council? Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you for coming.
Councilmember report, we'll start with Councilmember Rose.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be able to continue to serve. Talking legislation on increasing revenue through unclaimed sales tax to Prairie emphasizes that as part of our role as City's Council, it is to identify ways to increase revenue which impacts community development, city services, and city taxes. That's why leaders in this community deserve leadership that is working on their better half and not causing the city to incur losses of revenue. Again, city leaders who, again, continue to need to make improvements. We want to continue to find more opportunities to put forth similar legislation to increase revenue for the city of Prairie View. Again, all the other initiatives that bring together our community. We talked about the streamlined record keeping project, which is another thing that I put forward. Again, that was another opportunity for citizens to be able to clearly identify and see what it is they needed to get public information and how the city better could help record that. Again, thank you for the opportunity to serve, and I will see you next time.
Let me take this opportunity to commend Councilmember Rowland on his service to the city of Prairie View. During the time that he served as city council member, he spearheaded several initiatives in our Brothers Keeper, the Boy Scout program, and also worked with the Chamber of Commerce. So he worked hard in Austin on other legislation. He worked with us on the post office issue, and was always pretty much involved in a lot of the things that that are positive for the city of Prairie View, but always with the citizens' interests at heart. So if things turn out in the election, they turn out as they do. But I think the citizens overall him a debt of gratitude for his volunteer services as a member of the city council. So, Councilmember Rowland, thank you for the job well done. Councilmember Brown.
Good evening. First of all, I just want to thank you all for the support and allowing me to serve for 2 more years. The last 2 years have been a very, very intense learning experience for me, and there was no way I was going to go through all of that without being a part of something positive. And I believe that this city is moving in the right direction. That was my biggest motivation for running for re-election. And I thank you all for the calls. You know, if you had a concern, if you had a complaint, I appreciate every phone call, because sometimes I need that phone call to put my mind on something that might not have been on. And so I always tell you, my phone is always on. Even if I don't answer, I will call you back. You know, I continue to serve as long as you'll have me to serve. You know, the next 2 years we want to work on, you know, keeping the city clean, cleaning the city. We want to work on transparency, and we want to work on economic development. That's our goal for my next 2 years is to be a part of bringing the change that the city of Prairie has been long awaiting. And I congratulate Councilwoman Herndon. I commend Mr. Rowland for his services, 6 years. He's done a great job, and I commend him on his future endeavors as well. And with that being said, I want to remind this council that we do meet on Saturday at noon, you know, to take that next step, and it starts Saturday at noon. So I thank you all. I remember when I first started, these rooms were empty when we come here for these meetings, and through the good and the bad, now these chairs are full and they're standing room only. So now people want to be a part of this, and I thank you all for who come out every month and speak your piece. And I'm thankful that we live in a country where we have the ability to hear what needs to be heard. And so I thank you all for allowing me to continue to serve, and till the next meeting.
Good evening. I too thank you for having the faith and trust in me to allow me to continue to represent you on this council. It's a pleasure. It's a lot of work sometimes, a lot of frustration, but it's a pleasure. Again, to the residents all over the city, especially in Prairie Acres and Hillcrest, if we have to have a call meeting, we're going to get on this. You should not have to wait a month to get solutions to your problem. So we're going to definitely be working on that. I look forward to our Saturday call meeting at 12 o'clock here at City Hall, where our new councilman-elect will be sworn in, who is sitting right here, Blue shirt. And I thank you again for, oh no, I've got someone else to thank. I thank Ms. Carla White for making sure that our meetings are on the internet every month. So if you miss a meeting, get it on the internet. Thank you so much. And Julie, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to thank you because you're actually doing it. So I really thank them for that, because there are a lot of people who would like to be at our meetings and they can't. So they tune in on the internet. So I thank you for that. And I thank you again for your support, for your faith, and your trust in me.
Thank you.
President, wonderful evening, friends and neighbors. First of all, I want to congratulate the 2 returning members to the council, Councilmember Randall and Council Lady Herndon, on a job well done. I'd like to commend Councilmember Rowland on the job that he has done in the past, and welcome Councilmember-elect Mr. Miller to the table. Look forward to working with you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to applaud the council for taking some action on item number 13 in reference to the economic development program that we're working on. This was a long process we've been dealing with, and I'm happy that the city stepped up to the plate. And the city and our economic development 4B is putting up the money for this particular project. And so I'm excited about that. We was able to find 120 jobs to go to this project. And so as you see, Wall is growing and Hempstead is growing, we can now let everybody in the rest of the county know that the city of Prairie View is growing as well. We are bringing a major developer to our table for development purposes, so we're very excited about that. Also, I'd like to commend Mrs. Shannon Smith on the job she has done in reference to the ordinances enforcement for the city. She did a very detailed job, and I wish everybody can see what she has done. She deserved some applause for doing what she did, because it's an outstanding job, and so that needs to be known. Ladies and gentlemen, some stuff is coming up that we need to be involved in. One of those things is homecoming. The university will be hosting homecoming, and they are meeting on a regular basis on the campus, and they'll be engaging the city of Prairie View in how the homecoming is going to be looking. They need us some major spaces for homecoming, and the city of Prairie View needs to become part of the discussion now, so we can track some of that economic development that is going to be taking place during the homecoming event, where we have close to 30,000 to 40,000 visitors to our city. So if you have an opportunity, please join the Prairie University Homecoming Committee in their meetings, and I can give you details on the meeting times and the date as it relates to that. Another issue that is forthcoming is Waller Independent School District. Ladies and gentlemen, Waller Independent School District is planning to do a bond election in November. Ladies and gentlemen, the Waller Independent School District is planning to do a bond election in November. Therefore, they're planning to do some growth as it relates to Waller School District. They have sent out a notice for representation from citizens to get involved with the growth of Waller Independent School District. And when I look at the list of individuals, the number of people from the Prairie community is very, very low. Ladies and gentlemen, they're about to make some major decisions on schools in Waller Independent School District. And one is going to impact us here in Prairie View as it relates to Jones School. We as a community need to meet and discuss education and take this particular issue very, very serious. If you're interested in this conversation, join us on Thursday at the Chamber of Commerce meeting, which is going to be held at the Alumni House here in Prairie View. Also on that particular date as well, Waller Independent School District will be having a next meeting with their group. If you're interested in joining that particular citizens participation group, you need to go online, in which, by the way, the deadline has passed, but if you apply, we can work with the school district to try to encourage them to allow you to serve. We need more citizens serving on that committee, because they're about to make some major decisions. And as you all recall, the last time they did a close to $29 to $49 million bond, in which $250,000 spent in Prairie only. Ladies and gentlemen, the amount of people that is sitting here need to be at the school board meeting, need to be at the commissioner meeting, because we need to protect our investment, which is our children. That's our major investment, ladies and gentlemen, and I need y'all to get involved. They are making some critical decision, and you don't have to believe me, or you don't have to trust me. You can go to the internet. Everything is listed on the Waller Independent School District website, wallerisd.net. You can get everything there that I'm talking about. You can look at the demographic plans. You can look at all the schools that I visited, in which I only visited 3 schools, in which one of them was Jones. And that report that we're going to be giving about Jones is going to be taking place on Thursday night. And I'm going to encourage y'all, if y'all can go there. But if you can't go there, come join us at the chamber meeting, because we're going to be discussing that particular issue, because I'm serious about this. If y'all don't get involved in anything, I want y'all to get involved in the schools, because we got to protect our schools. When people look at communities, they look at the schools. And if we don't have no school here in Prairie View, all this thing that we're working on, bringing in these 120 jobs with Tomball Forest, in which Tomball Forest is saying that if they can't get utilities from the city of Prairie, they might not bring their headquarters. They might move out of this particular community here and stay where they are. We have a chance to bring this company, which is going to make about $8.3 million investment into this particular community right here in Prairie. So I want to encourage y'all to take advantage of the school board. And also, I want y'all to stay engaged and stay involved. And it was mentioned earlier about the election. Ladies and gentlemen, let me let y'all know, I'm in it to win it. So tell whoever want to come, come. Because I have been tried and I have been tested. And if you look at my body of work, you can say, Mr. Thomas has done a great job for the city of Prairie View. So don't get it twisted. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you, and God bless America.
On May 30th, the city council is having a special meeting to seat Mr. Miller in position 1. And I want to remind all the city council members who said they were going to be here to make sure they are here by 12 o'clock so we can get this done and move forward. And I want to congratulate Mr. Randall and Ms. Herndon on their re-election.
Thank you. All right, mayor's report. I too want to commend Councilmember Randall and Councilmember Herndon for their re-election. And as was stated earlier, we have a special meeting on Saturday. And I just want to share with those that may not make it here a resolution that we're going to adopt on this Saturday. And this resolution is, so whereas the city of Prairie View held a regular municipal election on May 9th, 2015, for the purpose of electing 3 council members and approval of the city charter. And whereas it was determined that the candidate with the most votes for the office of city councilman position 1 was not a registered voter on election day, as required by Article 22.032 of the Texas Local Government Code. And whereas a vacancy currently exists in the office of city councilman position 1. Whereas pursuant to Article 22.010 of the code, the governing body of the city of Prairie View may fill a vacancy on the governing body by appointment or by special election. And whereas the governing body of the city of Prairie View desires to appoint a qualified person to fill the vacancy for the office of city councilman position 1, now therefore be it resolved by the city of Prairie View, Texas, section 1, that Jonathan Miller is hereby appointed to the office of city councilman position 1. And he shall serve in that office until the next regular municipal election as per Article 22.010 of the Texas Local Government Code. And this resolution will be effective on passage if approved on the Thursday of May of 2015. I know we've alluded to that a lot tonight, and so those of you who are not aware, you need to know that on election day, this young man was not eligible to take his office. He had not registered to vote, had not been a registered voter. And so we have to come back now and appoint him once he's qualified, which is not qualified until the 29th of this month. So Friday he'll be eligible. What this council has done is commendable in some ways, and it says a lot about Prairie View. Here's a young man, and I don't know his background, but he should be commended for running for public office. And I commend you, Mr. Miller. So this is no way says anything about you. But it says that we have to work with those that want to run for office, especially our young people, our students, to teach them how to get registered to vote early and right. We've gone down this road many a time. We've had people indicted. We've had people hurt behind this. And now we have a young man that, with all his honesty, wanted to run for office and found out that he was not registered to vote. So the council said, well, let's back up. Let's do something and show him we're going to reward him for winning that election. So the council wants to meet and do that. That's the same way we've been dealing with local contractors. We have local contractors like Mr. R.C. Jackson. That's a local contractor out of Hempstead to clean these ditches. He has the equipment to do it. He has what he needs to do it. He doesn't know how to draft up a contract, and that's been the problem with hub vendors for many, many years. Prairie View has been accused, the university, of not hiring hub contractors. Because number one, they couldn't get the bonds required, and they didn't have all the paperwork and the staff to do what all the other folks wanted to do. And they couldn't get it done. And so we've had low hub numbers, but now that's improving because we've got people to work with hub. We have qualified people in this city that can work with these contractors because we can use them from time to time on these small jobs to move things along and get things done. And we've done that. We get them to cut limbs, to pick up trees, to clean out ditches, to do other things. And that's what this was. This was an attempt to get a local guy that had his own equipment. He has the laser, they can shoot the grade, they can get these ditches clean and give some people some relief right now. The council chose to do otherwise, that's fine. I abide by the council. I work for the council, and I have no problem with that. But I want to let the public know that sometimes things are not always said or stated to where it's real clear. This was an honest attempt to give a small contractor an opportunity to do some honest work. But before we would have signed any contract with him, we were going to sit down with him and work through these contracts and all the wherefores and where-tos. But he was going to charge us $75 an hour to do some work. And if he could show us through cleaning out the ditches along Ruby Street that he could give those people some relief, then we said, okay, Mr. Jackson, let's go to Emerald Street. He's got the wherewithal. Mr. Alexander, as he told you, he doesn't have his tractor yet. They'll have to get out there with shovels. But this man has the scoop and the bucket and all the stuff he needs, the dump trucks to haul off the dirt to do the work. And I think it's something that we need to work with these young vendors about to get them these jobs so that they can also make money. Now, when we settle for these larger contractors, they're gonna come in with the gradals and the other equipment, but they're gonna cost us. Just like we were using Lee Van Richardson as our city attorney. Lee Van didn't charge us a whole lot of money for a lot of things he did for us. The council agreed to fire Lee Van for whatever reason. Now we're paying the piper because you got a Cadillac sitting over here. And when you talk to them, they go ching ching. And everybody up here calls them for one reason or another. It's not just the Marion, but all of us have access to them. And so they charge you when they talk to you. So we paying for it. So people are hollering now, but Lee Van represented this city well. He represented this city well, and he represented us well in court, and he did well for us as our county attorney. And we need to go on record in saying that. Olsen & Olsen is an excellent firm, yes, but you're going to pay for it. You pay for these services. So when you see these bills go up, don't be surprised. We should have known that when we selected these folks, that they were going to charge us for their services. And they're giving us good services. They've been excellent in their work so far. They gave us a good police manual. Chief Johnson worked with the attorney. But we got an excellent police manual. And I think we can put it up against anybody. As a matter of fact, Chief Johnson is putting us in line to get certified as a police department, which would be excellent as a check mark for the city of Prairie. So let's keep in mind that we're paying for services that the citizens and the council voted for us to get. So we're paying for it. Now, it's not going to go down, it's going to go up. If you're going to pay for a Lexus, you're going to pay for that. You're going to pay those costs. Don't go rolling there and think you're going to get a headlight for $1.95. It's not going to happen. So we can curb some of those costs by working together, but we're in a very law-conscious society. People are suit crazy, and they're suing us, and they're suing the city. So we have to do things to try to protect the city. It's your tax dollars when they sue. When these folks go out and read meters and do other things, they're not out here trying to hurt nobody, misread a meter, give a bill wrong. That's not the intent. They're doing the job. They pumping water out of those meter boxes. They fighting off snakes. They fighting off fire ants. That's why we want to move towards a smart meter system where we can get those things sent in electronically. And we're going to have some workshops to get that done. And let me address some of these citizens' comments because some things were said that I need to talk about. I need to talk to Mr. Rodney Gray. I have a lot of respect for Rodney, and I've always had respect for Rodney. I've been knowing Rodney since he was a student at Prairie when he came to the fire department. He gave us excellent service. I have no problem with his service as a firefighter, anything like that, none whatsoever. Yes, everything he said he's done, and he should be commended for that. George Bennett, student at Prairie, came join the fire department. Excellent service. We've been in many fires together. We've been on floods. Rodney's been down those streets with us late at night, tying ropes on people and getting in boats with folks. George has been there. Robert came to us through George. Now, those guys are sorely missed, but we're recruiting others, and we're gonna have to recruit others. And the money that we have that we finally got was not $59,000, it's $52,000. The issue that we have was with the water bill, just like now, with Creekside. Yes, he gave us a letter, and then we have to turn it over to the attorneys now because it's in litigation. We're in a lawsuit about a previous water bill. So now we're in another one because the water bill hadn't been paid for a period of time. And so we had to, by our own code up here, send a notice that you haven't paid a water bill in several months. What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to send them a water bill. The thing to do is come in, let's work through the differences, and the clerks up there can work with them. That's all part of this process. So we have to send off a notice to shut off water to anybody that don't pay a water bill. And we try to work with people on that, and we've done that over the years. So I thank you, Rodney, for your service, and I just want you to know that this is behind the water bill. And we have to collect the money for the citizens. We got people that are sitting out there now without water that owe far less money. And we had to terminate their service. And that's not a happy thing you have to do, to cut somebody's water off. And we know that's a major issue. So I don't want folks to think that we sitting up here just idly hanging by. And I need to address Mr. LaVon Moses. He's not here. He always leaves before we get to talk to him. But Mr. Moses is free in this country, has freedom of speech like anybody else. And I stand by that. He can say to me whatever he wants to say. That's fine. But one thing I do take opposition to is that I don't like the way he talks to the staff. And that's got to stop. Him and James Larry come up there and talk real ugly to the staff here up here. And that's one of the reasons we got to put these security things, because they get in there, they use bad language, and it's not right. And it's very disrespectful what they do to these people that are up here working for these wages. They work for you. They're not in this battle. I'm in the arena. I expect this. They expect this. They expect you to throw arrows at us, cuss us out, talk about us. That's all part of it. That's part of the game. We knew that when we got in the game. Those folks work for this staff. Miss Alexander, Miss Tuck, those folks, they're not in this mess. So you don't take it out on them. That's not right. That's not right in no way you shape that. So if you got a beef to pick it with me. Pick it with these up here. We're the ones. We're the ones that raised our hand, just like they did tonight, and say, I'm going to uphold the laws, I'm going to do all this. I'm going to stand up here, I'm looking for the votes. I asked you to put me up here, so let me get my political views in, let me get my coalition together, let me get my people around. But those other folks, they're workers. You leave them alone. They shouldn't be collateral damage. They shouldn't be threatened by their jobs. I'm going to get your job, I'm going to fire you. That's not right. That is not right. No way you shape that. So those were the ones I wanted to talk about. And I'm glad to see Miss Carla White coming to meetings and your family coming up here. This is good. We're glad that y'all are interested in the city of Prairie and what we're doing. Everything we're doing up here, and if you go back through your video records, you notice that we've gone out our way many times to give you a voice. Even before we got to the 3-minute time, that we let people piggyback to speak, because we wanted you to have a voice. We took stuff off the agenda, put it on the agenda so that you could address those issues affecting that neighborhood over there. That neighborhood is changing, and we're going to have to deal with that sooner or later. So a lot of those homes over there that were single-family homes, we're going to have to deal with that. How are we going to do it? How are we going to get developers to come in and make that happen? So we have to deal with that. One way, other thing I wanted to share with citizens, that on the 29th of May, we're having a unveiling here in City Hall chambers of the Dr. Maya Angelou commemorative stamp. The U.S. Postal Service approached the city and said that they would like to come here and unveil that stamp. So it's going to be right in the chambers at 11 o'clock. That's going to be a historic occasion for the city of Prairie. But it also gives us another relationship with the post office. I mean, I'm just trying to lay it out there. We're trying to get in there to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do. But they came to us. So they're going to bring some of their officials out of Houston and their other regional offices here for this unveiling. And those of you who knew Dr. Maya Angelou, you know that she's somebody that should be honored. And our own Dr. Clarissa Book, who prides herself as being a personal friend of mine, Angela, will give some comments. So we'll have a commemorative stamp, and they're going to donate one of those stamps to the citizens of Prairie, and we'll post it somewhere up in City Hall as a gift from the U.S. Postal Service to Prairie. The other thing that I think you need to be aware, Herb brought it up, was our schools. Excuse me. We know, as Herb said, that last bond issue for $49 million, they only spent $250,000 for Jones Intermediate School. That's painted up. So when the school board and the superintendents went to the university and said, are you going to spend any more money at Jones to upgrade it? They said no, because they can't take the money they're appropriated from the state and spend it on a school district building that's used for the school district. If you know any of the story about Jones, the history of Jones, those buildings are older, probably some of the oldest buildings here. And the first building was built by the university, by Dr. Evans. But the A&M system told him he couldn't spend that money on those facilities. So Waller ISD in 1957 had to come back and add on that gym with the rounded top. And then in '64, when they were being pressed with the issue of integration, they had to add on the cafeteria and all the other parts to it. But the university doesn't pay for any upgrades to the post office. That's leased property too. Same way, they don't pay for the commissioner's building. They're gonna give the land, but they're not gonna pay to build that facility. That's what the commissioner reported on the night. So when they got the word that the university was not gonna spend its money on upgrading Jones, they said, oh, well, we'll move down the road. So they're talking about going down Orange Road 362 to 362. So that meant that Prairie View would be without a school. I'm pausing because while we up here at each other and doing all this other stuff and being political, we got to focus on some of the things that are near and dear, and that's those schools. If you lose the school, that's part of your fabric. That's part of your social fabric, your community fabric. And so we're working now to try to create a charter school or a STEM school, because the last time we engaged this issue, we were fortunate enough to get Ty Clevenger to volunteer along with Dwayne Charleston and to help us with this. But Ty can't do this no more because we had to go up against some high-powered attorneys. And two of the kids that filed on the suit were my boys, Shake and Okofor, and my wife, Mary. Their names went on those lawsuits to try to get some more money for Jones and to fight against that. Charleston even was locked up because he went up there protesting. But the folks in Prairie are going to have to stand with us on some of this stuff. You can't do it by yourself. You got to stand with us on our schools. And that's where we can draw the line will be on these children. So let's take this in the heart, what Herb talked about, because that's very, very important. Miss Laura Franklin Brown, when I met her, she was 95 years old. She said, Jackson, if you don't do anything else, you save our school. She was concerned about that because she knew it's important. One of the things that I'm engaged in this week, I'll be dealing with the African American Mayors Association. We'll be meeting in Washington to talk about grant funding and meeting with some officials and hopefully with some people at the White House to what we can do to get more grant funding. That's how these EDA money happens. It's through these connections. That's how we are able to get bond money and learn about bonding agencies, by going to these meetings and learning how people are doing things. The council members go to the Council Members Association through TML, but by us going through these other meetings, we learn what's going on around the country so we can bring those ideas back to Prairie View. Because of those ideas, we were able to push forward bond initiatives and get stuff done. That's why he's sitting up here in City Hall. And people allude to the problem with the contractor. Once that contractor was found to be negligent, that contractor was fired. It wasn't no, this council did that. We all did that. And we even tried to work with the contractor to try to get them to get it right, just like we doing with Mr. Miller. Same thing, we're trying to get it right. They couldn't do it. We fired them. And we finished the project. And we followed the advice of our attorney. That's what happened. And so, you know, we keep getting hit with that, but now it's finally done what the attorney said it was gonna do. It's worked its way into the courts, and we're gonna let it resolve its way the way it's gonna be resolved. But when we keep trying to give Prairie View and people in Prairie View a slap upside the head or a blight on the face and put all this crazy stuff in the paper, that affects Prairie View. It don't affect Frank Jackson that much. Yeah, it taints me. But sooner or later, I'm going to be dead and gone. I'm going to be out of here. But Prairie View's going to be here. And that's what's going to get the taint. So if we can work out some of these differences here locally and try to get this stuff resolved here, instead of taking it all out and telling everybody else our own business, I think we'll be better served. Another thing that I'll be involved in with later on this week is a trip with the Fourth Global Alliance of African Leaders and Mayors of African Descent in Accra, Ghana. This is a very important meeting on a global scale. We're going to have to think global, because when we find ourselves on the global arena, we find that there are similar issues going on all over the diaspora. Wherever we were taken as an enslaved people, we find these same conditions, the same dynamics going on. And we're figuring out ways to bond and build trade revenues, because we have some excellent opportunities to build production facilities here. Production facilities that can help us produce food, clothing, and shelter. And that railroad track that runs all the way to Galveston is a major asset to Prairie View. And it's primary in a lot of considerations for jobs coming this way. The 36 Alpha Corridor going down to Freeport. That meant Prairie View is going to be at the crossroads of international trade. It's going to be at the crossroads. That meant that all that cargo that can't get into Galveston is going to come to Freeport. And so therefore, a lot of that merchandise is going to move up those two corridors, and it's going to hit Prairie View, and we need to be ready. So we're building bonds on production that we can bring in fruits and other production items from these countries. That's why I'm going. And much of this trip that is going to be paid for by underwriters. So I'm trying to get the whole trip paid for by underwriters, but it should be very minimum cost to the city of Prairie View. But I think these are the kind of opportunities. Housing developers are coming in now, talking to folks. Me and the commissioner were involved in a very good meeting today, I think, with some excellent economic development opportunities that are coming. So people are noticing Prairie View. And lastly, 4B had a meeting this week that included Dr. Bradford. Corey Bradford, for those of you who don't know him, is the Vice President for Finance and Administration at the university. And one of the projects that he's working on with the city of Prairie View, and we are starting now to branch out once we get a diagram with the landowners along University Drive, is to do major landscaping along University Drive from 290 to the campus. That's the area they're focused on, because they're concerned that when parents make that right turn and they come down that corridor, they want them to have that wow effect, like, wow, this is where my child is coming. That's our major industry. And so they've come to us and say, how do y'all want it to look? We gave them an overlay of downtown Prairie View that we all agreed on, that's in our comprehensive development plan that we developed and we put out and this council adopted. So the color of the brick, the setbacks, the landscaping, we're driving that. They're putting up the funding, they're pulling TxDOT to the table, they're pulling Texas A&M University system to the table, and I think this is going to happen in a nice way. And they've talked to landowners about partnering. And he was very clear that a lot of the rumors and lies that are out there about the universities trying to use eminent domain to take people's land, that's not true. They're asking people to either lease, work with them, or to sell. So if you're not going to clean up your property, sell it to us. We'll fix it up. We'll build on it. They want to build facilities. One of them is a cultural museum. They want to talk to the city. They talked to 4B. He talked to 4B about leasing our property so that we could actually build a cultural museum and a library. But they're on Echo Street. But it would have frontage on University Drive to give that nice urban look. And on the top would be some nice apartments for faculty or staff members or grad students that want to pay their price. That's the kind of projects that they're involved in. That's what they want to make happen for this community. And I think this time that we line up and put a lot of the internal factors and try to push forward and work together as a community. So we're gonna have to heal some of these wounds, because a lot of this stuff that we're doing negative to one another is very abusive. And so we got a chance to do some things. I'll be asking the council to come back again, Ms. Herndon, hopefully in the next couple of days, to talk about these ditches, because we know that those are very important. We'll contact some more contractors, and some of these small contractors, some of you guys with the expertise and the knowledge on drafting contracts, on working with them, I would ask y'all to step up to the plate and help those folks come up and get their businesses together, because that's part of economic development. If you can get local vendors, that's one of the things that Prairie View sorely needs, is entrepreneurship and this working together spirit that we all can incorporate. So with that, I'm gonna close it out, and I think we got an executive session.